How are you doing, people? Today I have a monotype battle for you against someone from Smogon Battlefinder by the name of Gotenks4star. This time I brought 6-poke Chenge flying type, which I haven't seen elsewhere and I don't know why, because as you see my team is actually sort of balanced, with Mandibus as a special wall, Landorus T capable of taking a few physical hits, Choice Scarf Articuno and Nasty Plot Crobat, which are supposed to weaken the opponent's team down, and then two massive threats, Archeops and Life Orb Staraptor to do some late game sweeping. Meanwhile, on my opponent's side, another mono ghost team, similar to the one I faced in my last monotype battle, with Cofagrigus and Jellicent to take hits, Gengar, Chandelure and Golurk to do damage, and, of course, a Sableye to piss me off. Let's see then how it went down. I lit off with Archeops, because I was afraid that his Golurk might carry Stealth Rocks, which is the last thing I want on my side, so I wanted to destroy him with Flying Gem boosted acrobatics before he sets them up. He puts a Sableye on his leading spot though, so I switch right out to Articuno to take a Will-O-Wisp. Then he goes for a Confuse Ray, so I'm like, great, here we go again. But you know, Winterfresh has some experience in handling these shit biscuits, and not only doesn't hit himself in confusion, but also freezes him with an Ice Beam, which is pretty hilarious if you ask me. One of the most annoying trolls getting trolled. Not bad at all. So now that this thing is pretty much neutralized, I go right back to Archeops and finish him off with a Stone Edge. Then he brings his Gengar, probably thinking that he is faster, but I prove him wrong on this one and demolish with Flying Gem boosted acrobatics. In comes Jellicent, and I obviously don't want to take a Scald, so I switch to Mandibus, sponge it with ease and go for a Toxic before he taunts me. Then I click on the fight button to find out whether I'm carrying Brave Bird or not, and find out that I don't, because the game automatically makes me struggle on this turn and he toxics me pretty much for free. So I go to Crobat now, seeing an open window to set up a Nasty Plot, but unfortunately he has the same idea and brings his Golurk on the same turn, as it turns out to set up a Rock Polish. I take a Stone Edge and answer with plus 2 Air Slash, and seeing how much I did with a crit, I'm thinking that he is probably invested in HP, but as you see by his HP number, that is not the case, so after he takes me out with another Stone Edge, I bring my Articuno, thinking that I should outspeed him even after Rock Polish, and find out the hard way that I don't. So now, realizing that this thing is quite a threat to my team, I go to Landorus just to get an Intimidate off. His Dynamic Punch and -1 and with resistance doesn't do much, but unlike Articuno, Landorus isn't trained to deal with Haxes and hits himself in confusion. But then he misclicks an Earthquake, I break through confusion and finally finish him off with an Earthquake of my own. Then he goes to Cofagrigus, so I switch right back to Mandibus to taunt him and prevent from setting up Coal Mines in my face. He gives me a free switch by going for a Will-O-Wisp, and right after goes back to Jellicent, probably to shut me down again, but this time, ironically, I taunt him first, and then rushed off back up to full to Toxic Stall him a bit. Seeing my intentions, he switches to Chandelure, but Mandibus takes a Fire Blast like a beast. Look at that, that's nowhere near half, and I Toxic this thing as well, because I know that if it's Scarfed, which it certainly seems like, I'm gonna need every tiny bit of damage I can get. Because Toxic at this point does more damage than Roost can recover, I decide to save Mandibus for now, thinking that I might get a chance to bring it against his Jellicent and roost off later on. I decide to Death Fodder my Landorus, since unlike Archeops it can't leave a Fire Blast from this range. He misses on my switch though, which only means a bit more passive damage to him, so as he takes me out with another Fire Blast, he is at the range where Archeops can easily finish it off. Knowing that he goes back to Jellicent, but doesn't take Earthquake well enough to leave the following acrobatics, so that's one major wall out of the way. Then he brings his Cofagrigus again, takes another acrobatics and sets up a Calm Mind, so now knowing that Shadow Ball is coming, I get a free switch to Staraptor. Reckless Life Orb Brave Bird does a ton of damage to him, and on top of that, he misses a Will-O-Wisp, which I doubt made any difference because seeing the amount it did, 191 HP to be exact, that's 1 HP more than the absolute max it can do to a standard physically defensive set, which suggests that he might have a bit of special attack or special defense investment, which in turn means that another Brave Bird will most likely take him out even with my attack halved. But knowing that he will probably just leave this thing to die and click a random move, I switch to Mandibus just to get rid of my Mummy ability, not knowing that it will always replace my ability after I go for a contact move, so I basically made this battle 2 turns longer for no reason. I finish off his Cofagrigus with another Brave Bird, and his Chandelure turns out not to be Scarfed in the end, and even without Reckless isn't able to take it either, so that is the game. Good game Gotenks4star. Up to the point where your Jellicent went down, it was anyone's guess who will take it. And then there is Staraptor, such an underrated poke in OU. Today it has proven its potential. As always, hope you all enjoyed, in which case remember to leave a like, rating or comment, and I see you all next time.